And it is, for real, one of these players' last chance to stay in the tournament. Tournament lives on the line here, Nate. And in the bottom left-hand side of the map, the blue Zerg player representing Alpha X, it is RagnaroK.
And his opponent, spawning in the northeast position, representing Riot Gaming, he is Zest.
All right, a PVC to spice things up. And yeah, I really like this map as well. It's a pretty cool map for the matchup. I think that there's a few elements that are very favorable for Zerg, really, in both of those, in both of the Zerg matchups, CVT and CVP. But there are some redeeming factors for Protoss, though. I don't know that we will see Zest do something like take the corner base, which is one of those things where you can easily wall it off and take an easy fourth base. Maybe if you're going into something like carriers or something of the sorts. I think that we are more likely to see Zest be aggressive on something like 2 base or maybe 3. And really push on the gas pedal. So we'll see what happens here.
Oh, that excites me. That is exactly what I want to see. Put the pedal to the metal. Zest's games against Clem earlier were very fun because of that, right? Bringing out DTs, lots of DTs. Actually, DTs in all 3 of his games. But then, of course, going for the Colossus drop rush in the 2nd game, which was just absolutely fantastic to see. It didn't work, but I'm always going to applaud weird out there plays because I think they're fun. They're fun to see, they're fun to watch, they're fun to cast.
And it really speaks to how much he wants to micro, right? Like to how much he wants to rely on those units, gaining him some value here and there. So so it is very much his trademark, I think, whether it be Colossus drop or not, to kind of just get in your face and try to outplay you. To outmaneuver you with decision-making made on the field with units. He is also a trickster when it comes to build orders. We saw the DTs come in handy and some other very interesting tactics in that series against Clem. So we'll see what he chooses to bring against RagnaroK here.
Yes, and there's hell yeah. Well, that's... Well, you know, when I think of RagnaroK, like I said, I think about a mountain splitting in fire and flames engulfing everything. So there's that image is always there when he's playing. So there is a pylon though in the bottom right, and you know what, cats? I think you don't see this very much versus Terran because you don't really need to as much, right? With where they can scout. But against Zerg, you don't necessarily want them to know if you're proxying like a Dark Shrine. He is going to start resonating glaives. So it could, maybe in the event that he goes in and scouts, or in that pylon in the bottom right could just be for like a proxy gateway too. That Ling tries to get in just a smidge.
Yeah, but by the way, he's getting vision from the high ground with the Adept. This is a very cool thing that at least at my level players don't seem to realize. And it's something that Zest seems to have realized, but RagnaroK maybe hasn't because he's still putting the Overlord there. This is probably not by design, but it is a feature of the map that is there and has been untouched. This will be cancelled really fast, so this is good news for RagnaroK, but not devastating for Zest as he had just started that building. He can start any other building or the same one back at home.
Yeah, but he did want to build the gateway there, right? You assume that with resonating glaives, his plan was to try and make a big push onto that 3rd base, but now I don't know. Do you feel happy just having resonating glaive adepts at 4 minutes and not much else? No, he's going to get 2 Stargates.
Yeah, and he probably feels like he's given up his hand to some degree. I actually didn't catch what the building was, so knowing it was a gateway, yeah, definitely he wanted to flood with adepts, but now he has the ability to switch back onto starport. And I think that the cool thing here from Zest's position is that he has done everything to signal to RagnaroK that he wants to commit to an adept attack, to a big one, and RagnaroK in knowing that drops his Roach Warren and is going to continue to make a lot of links. And then there is where the Earth Switch is going to be really, really devastating because no more adepts are being made here.
I was going to say, the Roach Warren wasn't even that fast either. Like, there was a potential to try to do something with those adepts, but I like that he's holding on to them because I guess a part of this must be that he either wants to try to snipe a lone queen that's out somewhere, or he wants to bring him in with the Phoenix, or you know, like send them into the main base while the Phoenix hit the natural, etc., something like that.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the number of units that 5 adepts have forced out. There was 30 links and 7 or 8 roaches made. That is a way bigger investment, right, than those adepts cost. So they have to get cleaned up. This is good for RagnaroK. He's gonna get some value out of the units that he no doubt overmade for this defense. And I still kind of like Zest's position, as long as he can defend the counter offense, as long as RagnaroK is not aware of what's going on and doesn't really move out with those roaches anytime soon. I think that Zest is going to be able to turn things around with this Phoenix play. Now he's going to reveal them, and he's going to get a few overlords for his troubles, and now the roaches are going to struggle to cross the map.
Yeah, it's a weird situation to be in, because I feel like a lot of Protoss players that at least I've seen go for the double Stargate will usually try to kill like double Robo to overload on the mortal production. Like they're a little bit concerned about a big roach type of attack. But instead, one Phoenix does get picked off. It's just that single Robo, and he's getting a Prism immediately with it. Like, okay, he's warping in Stalkers. I'm still not 100% sure where this crazy train is headed, but he's going to need to bring something back. Possibly to deal with these roaches. He does have like 4 or 5 Stalkers there, but there's no batteries, so if you don't have enough to hold it, it's going to be problematic. Gets a great grab on a Queen though by the 3rd.
Yeah, a very interesting thing actually is that Phoenixes are actually pretty good at dealing with roaches / Ravager pushes, because those units are the ones that you would pick off, but they are not in position right now. And RagnaroK is just gonna run into Zest's base, and this is a little bit too much for him to handle. The Phoenixes are gonna have to be recalled back, I believe, in order to help deal with his roaches, but that is never what you want to have happen. So Zest is gonna take devastating damage here, though the Phoenixes will end up cleaning up. So let's see what this thinks. Yeah,
really get the probes yet. He's just now getting through what was on the ground, but a couple of adepts in the main will defend that. So not. Well, I'm not going to try and like pretend like this is a good situation, because he lost most of his army and now a bunch of Hydras are coming out. Like, it's possible that RagnaroK just walks across the map after a good wave or two and kills him. But if he goes too soon and those adepts kill all of his drones, then that becomes, you know, a little bit of a different problem itself.
Yeah, have to be really careful as well. Those adepts are actually excellent to deal with Hydras and Zerglings. The Phoenixes are not great against the Hydras, obviously, or the Zerglings. But if the adepts are aiding and the Phoenix can go in and lift a bunch of Hydras, then all of a sudden that's all that Zest will need, and he's going for it. He's gonna shade onto the Hydras almost indubitably, but now they join with the Queen, so perhaps not. Zest is gonna shy away from that maneuver, but he has revealed his adept numbers. All that RagnaroK has to do is stabilize. Right now, this is too big of a commitment for Zest, I think, to not do anything with, Nate.
He's on 2 bases still, right? We haven't even seen a whiff of a 3rd out of the Protoss player. He's just been trying to bounce around these bases, looking for a weak spot, looking for somewhere that he can engage. But as the number of Hydralisks go up, this doesn't get much easier. Those adepts are not. The adepts are not really much cheaper than those Hydras. Trading those away, they're not going to build as fast either off a 2-base economy. So this just goes from difficult to, I don't know, whatever the max difficulty on Doom is. I gotta ask Maynard, like, I don't know, meeting the in-laws for the first time level difficulty over here. He's got 2 spores to try and catch it. Now he does use the Phoenix to try and bait the spore shot, but he never unloaded the sentries. He didn't unload them. He's trying to do the force.
He's unloaded the
force field beams. There we go.
But it's a little bit too late for the force field beams.
Yeah,
I think he did. And look at this counterattack by RagnaroK. What a great maneuver. Identifying, as soon as he saw those adepts, he just knew that he needed to defend the Baneling Nest, went down immediately, and he just went on full defense mode. Like I said, this army for Zest, it really doesn't scale up, so he had to make something happen ASAP. Didn't go for the first 2 shade-ins, and that just cost him a little bit. But ultimately, a very weird game, right? Like, if we really like think about what happened there, so Zest was planning to flood with adepts onto the 3rd, right? With that gateway. Gateway gets cancelled. I love the decision to make double starport. Then I think what happened, Nate, is that Zest must have thought that RagnaroK was really heavy on links. Maybe was fearful of something like Link Bane Bust, or just links to prevent him from taking his 3rd, and didn't realize that RagnaroK had also committed to roaches, to like 8 roaches or so. Those roaches ended up hurting him, but it would have been better, I think, for Zest, had he known that there was roaches out, to kind of just wait with the Phoenixes until he had a few more. He moved out with something like 4 or 5, which is kind of weird off of double starport, right? He revealed them super early, and I think that maybe he didn't want to overcommit because he thought that, you know, Phoenixes are trash against Lings, basically. So he thought maybe RagnaroK was not committing to anything but Lings, and maybe just wanted to switch off of those Phoenix tech. But I think had he continued on it, revealed them a little bit later, then you can pick off Queens comfortably, then you can pick off drones more comfortably, or any reinforcing units like roaches and deal with them promptly. But unfortunately for Zest, getting caught with his pants down, not really doing the thing that we were talking about in the previous or 2 series ago, where you send the units through the path that is usually walked by your opponent to get to you, right? Like that would have served them in immense ways to try and hold that. But yeah.
And you kind of bait a response though, right? He did try to build that gateway very forward across the map. He tried to put a gateway out there. He had resonating glaives. That's an upgrade you can't really hide once an adept shoots. So, yeah, I would have liked to see him pocket the Phoenix a bit more, honestly, too. Especially because he got the early Overlord kill, right? It's not like there was an easy way for RagnaroK to try and scout him past that early phase without, you know, risking another Overlord. But that's neither here nor there. What is this second game of this best of 3? Spawning in the top right position, we have the red Protoss player trailing 0-1. He is Zest.
And with a wonderful hold, it is, and a counterattack as well for Alpha X RagnaroK. But yeah, I really feel like Zest almost mind gamed himself, like with the information that he gathered. Obviously the Phoenix pocketed would have been better, I think, but I think he thought that it was the right, like I think he thought it was too greedy to basically hold the Phoenix and continue to make Phoenix in the back. So he just wanted to switch off of them, show them ASAP, and switch onto a different tech. But yeah, unlucky for him. The roaches were on the way at the same time.
Yeah, these are all of the different things that just end up adding up right over the course of a game of StarCraft. There's just so many different ways to try to have an impact, so many different things to do. What you do, what you choose not to do, what you choose to go out of your way to try to trick your opponent into thinking you want to do, and then end up doing anyway, because they're like, well, you could never put this much work in to make me believe it's happening, and then actually do it. And that's the beauty of strategy games, baby.
Yeah, that is definitely what happened there. One too many tricks on the side of Zest, perhaps, right? Tricked himself at some point.
Might have been why he dropped against Clem too in that first match, being honest.
Maybe so. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, Nate. This time around, it's Zest, I would say, the favorite by most people's standards. Not on the panel, of course, but he is trailing, and your boy here, he's feeling it, man. And I want to see RagnaroK versus Clem. I'm not gonna lie, okay? Like Zest versus Clem was TVZ. Awesome. But yeah, TVC.
More TVZ, please.
And with Clem, oh my God, Clem TVC, please.
Clem TVZ is like, that's, you know, you save up your extra little money, and you're like, all right, it's time to go to the fancy. We're gonna get ourselves a little filet mignon tonight. You know, it's like this ain't your normal TVZ that you're picking up from Kroger. We're going to some place where they fly this stuff straight in from Japan. Okay. Why
you TVC?
There you go. We're gonna get some Wagyu A5 marble TVZ, baby.
Oh,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, perhaps we'll see. But I mean, he has to get through Zest first.
He's got to get
a little bit ahead of himself. Yeah, and I mean, Zest versus Clem was already amazing, and I would also, you know, I wouldn't be unhappy to see another Clem versus Zest, and that one is more exciting in the sense that it can go either way, I think. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah. But RagnaroK is definitely a powerful PvC player, and he got the better of Zest last game. This game has been pretty standard with a natural block on the side of Zest, a Void Ray being produced first, which is mostly going to be a defensive measure. I would love to see him produce extra Void Rays, but a lot of people will go and gravitate towards the Oracle. So this Void Ray is serving a double purpose, the purpose that a Phoenix would have served in previous times, perhaps, just to clear the Overlords and whatnot, but also gets to be defensive against things like fast roach pushes or something of the likes.
Yeah, I get so sentimental thinking about when they first made that Void Ray buff and everybody was like, yeah, this is it now. We could just build Void Rays every game. We don't need to build anything else. And we're like, oh, yeah, we're here for the DreamHack Masters Void Ray thon. And those were some fun days. I still hope to see more of that. I'm always going to love those meme builds. Never go away, even if they aren't memes anymore.
Yeah, to be honest, I think that Void Rays in this matchup, they have a place. Should you choose to go for Void Ray, the thing is the Oracle is the unit that it's competing with for the utility space. But if you make something like 3, 4, even 5 Void Rays, it's pretty cool because it always forces your opponent to do something like go Hydras or something to react, or else they're always at a threat of, say, losing one base to Void Ray sniping and stuff like that. So I really like going into Void Rays and then going into Robos. And oh my god, I do not like, however, just mass Void Ray stuff because then it doesn't really scale. And we are seeing a second Stargate from Zest. So I'm curious to see if he's building 2 Void Rays at a time. He's gonna make a lot of Void Rays.
Well, all right. If this is in line with what we've seen from Zest today, he has been how should I say this? Venturing into the unknown, perhaps. Yeah.
Did he meme too bright for his own good? We'll have to wait.
Just don't fly too close to the sun with all those Void Rays, man. Those flux veins will burn right off.
Indeed. Charge and +1 is also being researched on the side of Zest. I like the +1 addition quite a bit, actually. But, you know, when you're investing this much into Void Rays, it's not like your Zealot force is going to be particularly gigantic, right? Void Rays are very expensive units. So it's kind of weird because obviously you want the +1 to deal with Zerglings, effectively. But it's also weird because +1 or upgrades in general will scale with numbers, and you won't have big numbers when you're going for a double Stargate like this. Not unless the game prolongs quite a bit. So maybe that's Zest's plan. Maybe we're gonna see a carrier transition or something like that quickly.
I would not be opposed to that. Templar Archives makes a lot of sense, right? Because you need to have some sort of splash to deal with something like mass Hydras. Because the point that you were making, Void Rays don't really scale. They just don't. Like, if against armored stuff, yeah, you can make that argument, but you're relying a lot on the prismatic alignment ability, right? Which you don't just get to keep that on the whole entire game. So this it also opens the door for other scary things. And I was wondering how far these queens were gonna go, but he's springing everything right now. He's just gonna kill him right now. That's his plan. And I do not have any idea how Zest could possibly defend this attack.
It's gonna be difficult.
An army that can beat this? Because I don't think 6 Void Rays are gonna be able to do it.
No, and whenever they are dodging corrosive vials, you might be like, oh, why don't they just dodge all the corrosive vials? Because whenever they are dodging, they're not shooting, right? And the queens are advancing further forward. There is no shield batteries here, and I'm with you, Nate. I'm not seeing how Zest is going to be able to defend this with double Stargate Void Ray. It's just like he doesn't have the numbers. He is for sure going to lose the third. RagnaroK with incredible creep spread behind this has creep spreaded everywhere with this gigantic number of queens, and now has Hydras in production. So even if he was to get cleared up, there is not going to be a strong chance for a Zest counter offense here. And this is looking all RagnaroK right now. The vials are going to zone out and force those Void Rays to stop shooting here and there. It's looking good for your boy.
Yeah, no, how much more could you possibly ask for than this? Build Hydras, move them across the map. The Void Rays have done a decent job of finding a way to be in this fight without dying immediately, because the queens can only push at such slow speeds. But like, if your hand is on fire and you cut off your arm, you're like, I'm not on fire anymore, and then they light your shoulder on fire. It's like, what do you do now? What was your big plan, huh? Like, I got nothing to say. So the queens and these Ravagers slowly being chipped away at. But
this will be dealt with. Yeah.
The economy of Zest is finally at risk, though, and this is where the damage becomes permanent. This is where you get to the spot where you're like, how much
where are they
going? Come back from that. Yeah, those probes they're taking a journey.
They have of their own.
Look at that tactical queen left behind. That was very deliberate, by the way.
Oh,
300 IQ. He just wanted to be able to scout the third base when it went back up.
Oh, if only he had an overlord there. Oh, does he have a? Yeah, of course he has a lair. So That would have been nifty. And I think this Hydra reinforcement could have also happened. This is just RagnaroK being cautious, right? He could have reinforced with the Hydras and done even further damage, but then he would have risked the counter offense should Zest be able to somehow clear him up. I'm not sure how that would have happened, though. Zest with Storm on the way and a few High Templars. RagnaroK doesn't seem to be interested in giving him any more time to work with. He is just gonna jump right on top of this. Okay, if he had Storm, it would have happened already. So this is gonna be green lights for RagnaroK now, Nate, and the High Templars are getting surrounded. I think we are seeing the end of the series. GG is called, and RagnaroK